I've decided to wear the ugly V gear for a reason. That was an ugly game tonight, Canuck fans. Let's just do the scores first. Boston won in China over Calgary 3-1. Calgary then beat Vancouver 4-1. Not the same squad. They didn't come over from China, get off the plane, and then beat the Canucks, though they could have. Philadelphia beats the Rangers 6-4. Tampa Bay loses to Carolina again 6-1 this time. Florida beats Montreal 5-2. Detroit beats Pittsburgh in overtime 3-2. Toronto beats Ottawa by the same score as last night, 4-1. And St. Louis beats Minnesota 3-2. And according to Ottawa management, if you're a Senators fan, you're right behind what they're doing. You're completely supporting the team and you totally understand and agree with the moves they're making. Aren't you glad management's coming out and telling you this? Oh, I didn't do a video on it because I feel like at this point I'm just picking on Ottawa fans and I can't do it anymore. So there you go. Score lines that are of interest, of course, are of to me for guys who are rookies or may be on the edge of whether or not they make the team. In the game between Philly and the Rangers, Lindblom, 2 goals, 1 assist for the Flyers. Vorobyov, 1 goal versus the Rangers as well. Carter Hart had 25 saves on 27 shots. Elliott had 11 saves on 13 shots. There you go. What if Hart outplays Elliott and Neuwirth? That's the problem. That's the issue. Hedl had a goal for the New York Rangers, or Cheadle had a goal for the New York Rangers versus Philly. And Lundqvist, of course, got pulled after allowing 5 goals and 22 shots. Some pretty bad defense in front of him, too. So, I know there were a couple that looked a little suspect, but honestly, the defense didn't look that great in front of him either. In the Carolina versus Tampa game, Kuokkanen had a goal and 2 assists, and Nakas had a goal as well. So the rookies look pretty good for Carolina in yesterday and today's games. And we'll see when they all get together how this works. That's the thing. These games where you got teams split in half, it's fun and it's interesting, but when they all play together, that's what tells you. Haggerty with a goal tonight for Pittsburgh versus Detroit, and it was a beauty. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is a beautiful goal. Rasmussen with a goal tonight for Detroit against Pittsburgh. Should have had 2 points, but the play didn't quite work out for Detroit. They still win it in overtime. Cholowski, 2 assists for Detroit versus Pittsburgh. So the former Chilliwack Chief puts up a decent point total in his debut this year for Detroit in the preseason, I want to say. Matthew Pekka, a goal and an assist for Montreal versus the Florida Panthers. And Suzuki also had an assist versus Florida. And, of course, this was a game that Montreal lost, but Florida had some veterans doing the scoring for them. Tyler Ennis, 2 goals for Toronto versus Ottawa. Ennis is on the board because with Nylander out, it is speculated that Ennis may end up getting that spot in the lineup. So Tyler Ennis could end up getting a lot of points and goals if that becomes the case. If the Nylander issue drags into the regular season, Ennis could be a key guy for Toronto. And I don't think any of us saw that this summer. I don't think any of us looked at signing Tyler Ennis to a league minimum contract and said, well, good, because if Nylander holds out, at least they've got Ennis. I don't remember anybody saying that. For St. Louis against Minnesota, Husso with 23 saves on 25 shots. Costin with an assist as well for St. Louis versus Minnesota. So again, rookies looking at guys who maybe we didn't expect this much from. Dylan Dubé, Spencer Fu, both played very well tonight for Calgary against a Vancouver team that looked completely overmatched at points. I know Vancouver had more shots, but if you look at the flow of play, if you look at actual scoring chances, it was all Calgary. And it was not great. Palmu had 4 shots tonight that I saw, but I didn't see that Palmu played at that level that's going to force the Canucks into a difficult decision about whether or not he ends up going to Utica. I don't think there was anybody tonight that forced their hand. Leipzig with the goal for Vancouver, that kind of play, and if he can keep that up, he may very well find himself on the team. I thought Gaudette had a good third. First and second, I didn't think he made enough of a difference that you can say, well, you can definitely waive a veteran to keep him around. Studnicka for Boston had an assist. I thought he played well. You'll also notice on the board I have Vakanainen because he didn't have a point, but in the game that I saw between Boston and Calgary, and I watched part of the replay, they replayed the game at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon. And Vakanainen really stood out for me. So if he can keep up that level of play for Boston, he should make the opening night roster. It will be really, really young on that blue line if he does. Let's discuss Domi here for a second. Max Domi gets into a bit of a scuffle with Ekblad. Ekblad's looking the other way when Domi punches him in the face, and there's going to be a hearing. And to me, and I wrote on the board, Domi to have a hearing because he's a Domi. And Ty was watching in the crowd, didn't look overly happy with it. But remember, the optics could be either he's not happy to see his kid get kicked out just because he's not happy to see his kid get kicked out of the game. He may not agree with his kid getting kicked out of the game, or he may look at that play and say, geez, this isn't your game, Max. You're supposed to be the talented forward that Montreal's needed up front. So it's not a good start. Could he get suspended? Yes, because Ekblad looked like a mess after that punch. Florida Panther team members who were talked to, the two that I saw on Sportsnet were Hoffman and Luongo. They both said it was gutless and a sucker punch. And, of course, Claude Julien, coach of the Montreal Canadiens, comes out and says it was just, in the heat of the moment, he's defending himself. He thought they were going to have an altercation, so he fought. Both sides have a point. So we'll see which side the NHL falls on. Do they come down hard on Max Domi, or do they just say boys will be boys and toss this one aside? Or did they fall in the middle and give Domi a fine with the agreement that there's going to be a suspension later? That's the question. So yeah, I am really toying with the idea that this year, when Vancouver has an effort like they did tonight, and I have to do a review, that maybe this is the garb I wear, because that was some ugliness. The positives, and there were positives. I do get accused of not talking about positives. DiPietro looked solid. I think he'll be good in Utica, and I think while Demko didn't come out of this game with a great save percentage, I think he played relatively well. He looked better this year than he did last year in the preseason. Last year in the preseason, he looked completely overwhelmed. And tonight's game, I don't think he was overwhelmed. I think it was just bad luck for him. Of the 3 goals he allowed, I think one of them he would like to have back. The other 2 it's fine. It's just one of those things where I think Vancouver's going to allow a lot of goals. And Chatfield is one that I think is going to be one of the first ones to get sent out. Just because some guys sometimes stand out for good reasons, and sometimes they don't stand out for great reasons. And that Vancouver team, and even John Garrett said at the end of the game, these young kids for Vancouver have a chance right now with games like this to stand out and prove that the management should keep them around, and they're actually making the decision a lot easier for management than it should be, because they're not rising to the occasion like guys like Fu and Dubé have been for Calgary. Dubé has inserted himself into the conversation for Calgary to be on the roster right now, full-time, regular season, in there. And it's going to be difficult for them because they have a lot of depth now. So for him to go in, somebody gets bumped out, and who's it going to be? So we'll see what happens from here, but let me know what you guys thought of the action tonight. Let me know what you thought definitely of the whole Domi thing. And again, and I know people say, oh, nobody watches preseason. This isn't about watching. Notice, I don't even talk about who won the games. That's not important. This is important. Which rookies are doing well, which young kids are doing well and pushing for jobs in the NHL. Which guys are making it so that the general manager may have to waive a veteran player to keep a rookie on the lineup. And in Domi's case, what happened tonight may end up affecting him actually being in the lineup for Montreal on opening night. We'll see. We'll see what they do with it. I don't think it was that vicious, and he got kicked out of the game. So to me, I think maybe one preseason game would be okay. But this is the NHL, so who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.